Welcome to the 2024 National March for Life theme launch. My name is Matthew Wojciechowski. I'm the Vice President of Campaign Life Coalition and a member of the organizing committee for the National March for Life in Ottawa.
And my name is Josie Luetke. I'm a member of that same committee, and I'm the Director of Education and Advocacy for Campaign Life Coalition. So Matt, what do we have planned for this hour?
We have quite a jam-packed hour because not only are we going to be announcing this year's March for Life theme, we will be also announcing our keynote speakers for the Rose Dinner and some of our keynote speakers for the Youth Summit. So we have quite the show. And before we just jump right into it and announce the theme, Josie, it's been quite a year here in Canada in the pro-life movement, and not just in Canada, but just globally as well.
It always feels like it's been quite the year. I think the battle is ongoing. I think looking back at this past year, we've kind of been in the trenches on a number of issues. Our pro-life neighbors south of the border have really been fighting over the abortion pill there and access to it. And thankfully, they've also been able to see a great decrease in the number of abortions thanks to the overturn of Roe v. Wade there, which we're still celebrating today. And thousands of babies are alive today thanks to that overturn of Roe v. Wade. And I know kind of in comparison, things kind of seem dismal in Canada, but I think we have to celebrate our victories when they come. And one thing we've been fighting for months is to not see euthanasia expanded to those suffering solely from mental illness. And just recently, we heard that that's been indefinitely postponed. And we want to see that just off the table. We want to say, you know, we're not going ahead with this plan. Forget about it. We want to see euthanasia eliminated completely. But the fact that there are so many vulnerable individuals who might have been literally on the chopping block come March 17th, and now they're not anymore. You know, doomsday has been postponed. I think that's something that we really do need to be thankful for. And I need to thank all of you watching who played some role in that by contacting your MP, by contacting the Justice Minister. I know there was so much work done earlier in the fall, thanks to MP Ed Fast Bill C-314. So anyone who was supporting that bill, even though it failed, I think it did help lead up to this conversation where we're not, you know, we shouldn't be in a place where we're killing those who are suffering from mental illness. So again, that is something we can be proud about, even though there's so much more that we still need to be working on. And that's why we're gathering for the March for Life in Ottawa. And I am so very much excited to once again see so many pro-lifers from across Canada.
Yeah, I agree. And there are so many reasons for why we need to march, why we need to continue marching for life in our nation's capital. You mentioned some of those things, some of the, I guess, victories. But you know what, guys? You know, abortion continues to be funded overseas with our tax dollars in the hundreds of millions of dollars annually. Abortion expansion is happening all across our country with our current government just trying to make it as easy as possible for women and women in crisis to have an abortion. So it's you know, crisis pregnancy centers are continuously being attacked. They're being accused of lying to women and all this stuff. And I mean, you read the papers. If you follow Campaign Life Coalition's newsletter or e-blast, you know what's going on, and you know why we need to march for life, continue marching for life. And this year, we will do that in our nation's capital, urging our elected officials to say enough's enough, stop the killing, end the killing. We need to start protecting children in the womb and all those people who are at risk of euthanasia and assisted suicide. So with that, all of that in mind, the organizing committee came up with a theme that we hope will resonate with you, a theme that we pulled from the Bible, from Holy Scripture, sacred Scripture, like we always do, because that is where the truth lies. So without further ado, here is our National March for Life official promotional video with this year's theme.
Abortion and euthanasia are pervasive in Canada. In this age of abandonment, it's time to be reminded of the words of God given through the prophet Isaiah almost 3,000 years ago. I will never forget you.
I will never forget you. You are mine. I will never forget you.
His promise, "I will never forget you," is not only a reminder of God's enduring faithfulness to His people, but also an eternal call for all of us to be witnesses to the dignity of each human person.
I will never forget. I will never forget you.
On May 9th, join thousands of students, families, and Canadians from all walks of life as we gather on Parliament Hill in Ottawa for the 2024 National March for Life. Together, let's remind our elected officials to never forget the child in the womb or any vulnerable member of society. I will never forget you reminds us of our responsibilities towards each other and the irreplaceability of each individual soul, created intentionally by God in His image and likeness.
I will never forget you. You're my child.
I will never forget you. That is the theme for this year's 2024 National March for Life. Josie, what went into this theme? Can you talk a little bit about the theme, why it's so important, why we feel like it's the perfect theme for this year?
Yeah. So it's based on Isaiah chapter 49, verses 15 to 16. Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has borne? Though she may forget, I will never forget you. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. And as you mentioned, Matt, we really like basing our theme on scripture. But I don't know. Those of you watching, let us know what you think. Put your thoughts in the comments right now in the chat. And maybe some of you will like it, maybe not. We want to hear your opinions on it. Personally, for me, what really resonates is this idea that the Lord is always with us. Even when we feel alone, especially when we might feel alone in this fight for the pro-life cause, that God does not forget us. He is alongside us for every day, every moment, and also especially when we're at our most vulnerable. And we need that extra protection. And maybe there's other people that aren't caring for us that should care for us. Our government, is abandoning those who, again, are at a particular vulnerable point in their life. Maybe they have some terminal illness. Maybe they have some other disability. Our government is certainly forsaking them. Sometimes even family members forsake you, but our God does not. And that's very reassuring to think about. But I will not forget you, and I will never forget you, is also, I think, a pledge that each of us needs to make when it comes to the preborn, because they're kind of invisible to most of us, unless you're looking at an ultrasound or something like that. It's important that we keep the preborn center of mind. And this is why we do this pro-life work. Certainly, there's a lot of negative repercussions on abortion in society, but really, at the heart of it, we oppose abortion because it kills an innocent human being. And we need to remember each and every life that matters, and also the elderly, and those who are at the end of their lives, and those who have sort of a disability, or they don't have the same abilities that they used to. We're going to say, we're not going to neglect you. We're not going to abandon you. We will never forget you. You're still a very important part of our life. And I think that that's kind of one of the beautiful aspects of this promo video, is that you really see a family that has embrace the different generations, and it's a single unit, and I think that's really how it's supposed to be. And I know not everyone is privileged to have that sort of family, but that's what we kind of want to uphold as the ideal, where you have protection at the beginning of life and you have protection at the end of life as well. And I will never forget you, I think, reminds us that each of us is unique and indispensable and irreplaceable. Each of us was intentionally created by God in His image, and He knows each of us by name. And so when we do lose a life to abortion or euthanasia, that's not just a statistic, but it is a unique individual whose life was cut short. So that's kind of what we were trying to bring in with the theme, I will never forget you. And so, Matt, I think now's the time where we get to announce our keynote speakers of this year.
That's right, Josie. We are absolutely thrilled with this year's lineup of keynote speakers for the various events. So I guess we'll just announce them. So the keynote speakers for this year's National March for Life Rose Dinner are the one and only Abby Johnson. As many of you all know, Abby Johnson was a former director at Planned Parenthood, where she left the abortion industry and became an outspoken pro-life activist and founded the organization And Then There Were None. That is a ministry serving and helping other people who work in the abortion industry to leave that industry, to assist them, accompany them, journey with them so that they can get new jobs, they can kind of be put on the right path. And obviously Abby Johnson was there. She lived it. She knows what it's like. And since she founded this organization, they have saved countless, hundreds of people's lives. Hundreds of workers, abortion workers, have left the industry. So great speaker, great person, great human being. So we just can't wait to have Abby Johnson speak at the Rose Dinner and at the March for Life rally. She will also be featured in person at the premiere of her upcoming movie, which we will get to in just a bit. And of course, she will speak at the Youth Summit as well. So that's one of our keynote speakers for the Rose Dinner. And our second keynote speaker is the one and only Sean Carney, co-founder of 40 Days for Life. This man, he's been doing everything. He's elevated 40 Days for Life, made it a global movement with hundreds and hundreds of 40 Days for Life campaigns, praying and fasting for an end to abortion twice a year all around the world. So Sean Carney will be joining us in Ottawa as well. Not only will he be speaking at the Rose Dinner with Abby, but he will also be one of the speakers on the rally, on the Hill at the March for Life rally.
And now, as mentioned, Abby is in a new film. So probably you saw Unplanned, probably you loved Unplanned, and she has a new documentary coming out also about the abortion industry called Unthinkable. Let's watch the trailer for that now.
Percent of women committing abortions identify themselves as either Protestant or Catholic. That's 650,000 abortions each year obtained by Christians in the United States. Church, we have work to do. The fight to make abortion unthinkable is ours. I've been working on a feature-length documentary called Unthinkable that exposes the darkest depths of the abortion industry. This fall, we plan to release this film that will completely uncover the depravity of every square inch of the abortion business, reveal every dirty secret, like the secrets within this Planned Parenthood facility behind me, and appeal to the fierce mercy of God for these crimes against him and humanity.
Time is money in the abortion industry. We did not want a woman on the table longer than 5 minutes.
We took videos at the beginning of clinic, and we would play music, and the doctor would come in and dance to the Rocky theme. Like, we're gonna get this done today.
Myra's done, so you just need. Margaret Sanger, who was the founder of Planned Parenthood, to eliminate the African American population through widespread access to abortion and contraception.
That is literally the #1 killer into the Black race. It was just like a genocide.
There's so many times that people say, well, Abby, that was just your experience at your one clinic. And I thought, well, okay, maybe, but why don't we get a whole bunch of us together and see if that's really true?
So she called that night to the answering service that she was bleeding, but the doctor never answered. She ended up dying.
The woman asked, is it killing? And the clinic director, she said, oh, if you think killing a fly is killing, everything about it is dehumanizing.
We had one woman that she tried to flush her own baby down the toilet, and its head got stuck.
And we're ready to share everything we were told would be too much for public audiences. The truth is never too much.
Clamp the head to make it come out. And you'll see all the insides gush out.
You know, is there anything that you look back on that you say, I don't know that was right, looking back on it now?
The protocol in counseling is if there is a fetus born alive in that building, we are to administer CPR. That was untrue because I've witnessed a fetus being born alive in that building.
What do they do?
Drown in the toilet.
This is not new. This has been going on for thousands of years. We just call it something different.
We call it something different. And again, you know, it's not that a person is worshiping the devil necessarily when they're promoting abortion. But they don't have to be thinking of him, and he doesn't care whether or not they're thinking of him. A sacrifice, think of what a sacrifice is. I'm going to give something up in order to get something back.
This is not a political issue. This is a moral issue. We're trying to change the mindset of a culture. We're trying to change people's hearts. And one of the things I admire about Jesus is he was the perfect balance of grace and truth. And if the church cannot bridge that gap, we will never change the hearts and the minds of a culture when it comes to the issue of abortion.
Unthinkable. That is Abby Johnson's latest film. And we've been hinting at this, if you've been reading some of our emails announcing this theme launch, that we may have a special guest with us today. And well, we do. We actually have Abby Johnson with us here right now. And we're going to have a quick little chat with her. Abby Johnson, it's so good to have you with us today. Welcome back, I guess, to the National March for Life in Canada.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just so excited to be back and always excited to be in Canada. You guys definitely have a fight up there on your hands, and I'm just excited to be a part of it with you.
And we can't wait to have you back in our nation's capital in May. So let's just cut to the chase. The folks watching this theme launch, we just watched the trailer to your latest film, Unthinkable. So what can you tell us about this latest project of yours? What's it about? And the reason why we're showing it is because we will be doing a Canadian premiere of this film just a few days, just the day before the National March for Life on May the 8th. So you're going to be there in person. So what can you tell us about this film?
Yeah, so, you know, I wanted to do it for a while because when I left the abortion industry, you know, a lot of people in the abortion movement said, well, okay, you know, Abby Johnson obviously was at a bad clinic, right? And so this was just a one-off experience. This was her experience, but no other abortion clinic was like hers, right? And so I said, okay, well, let's put that to the test. So I started a ministry back in 2012 called And Then There Were None. And we have now helped almost 700 abortion clinic workers leave the abortion industry, and that's just in the United States. And the goal is to really help them come into a saving relationship with Jesus Christ. And so we've been helping these workers do that now, almost 700 of them. And what really struck me, though, was that all of our stories were so similar. What I realized was that my experience was not unique. My experience was part of a pervasive, part of a systemic problem that is happening all over the country and what we believe is happening all over the world. And so what we've done is we have gathered dozens and dozens of these former abortion clinic workers. We've gathered them together just to really talk about these issues. What is happening inside of these abortion facilities? Is it systemic? Is this a problem that's happening everywhere? Or was my experience truly just a one-off sort of thing. And I think what people are going to find really interesting is that, what people think is happening. I think, what a lot of pro-lifers are going to find is they've kind of had this idea of, what they think is going on inside of the abortion industry, but now they're going to hear it kind of, that saying from the horse's mouth, right? They're going to hear it from these workers, some of them that were there for 17 years, some of them there only a few months, but this kind of varied experience, women being trafficked through these abortion clinics, unsterilized instruments, babies being born alive and drowned, suffocated, necks broken, women being left to die from blood loss, hemorrhaging, negligence, malpractice. These are things that the abortion industry, they don't want to get out to the public. And that's why I've said for a long time, the abortion industry workers who leave, they really are the Achilles heel of the abortion industry, because we know all their dirty laundry, right? We know all of the secrets that they don't want to be exposed. And that's really what Unthinkable is doing. And so I think it's going to be eye-opening for the pro-life movement, but also really a wake-up call to those who support abortion. Is this actually what you support? Is this what you are championing? And the great news, too, the great news for Canada is that we are now going global at And Then There Were None. And so we are going to be opening up chapters of And Then There Were None in Canada, in Spain, in Africa, all over the world, because there are abortion workers who want to have that same experience of redemption and conversion all over the world. And we're going to be there to serve them and help them.
I'm so excited to watch Unthinkable, in part just because of your explanation right now, but also because I remember when you came to the National March for Life in 2019, it was also for the Canadian premiere of Unplanned. And I remember walking into that theater just a couple of days before the march and being absolutely blown away. So I'm really excited to learn even more about the abortion industry through Unthinkable. And speaking of your 2019 appearance at our National March for Life, do you have any memories from that occasion, and how do you feel about coming back to Canada?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I speak everywhere. I speak a lot. I do a lot of speaking, and I have to say most events I do are not things that really kind of stick out on my mind, but that event was particularly memorable for me because I was 38 weeks pregnant with my last son, Fulton, and my doctor was kind of on standby in case I went into labor. He had already found a hospital close by that I could go to in Ottawa, because he just thought you're crazy for doing this event so close to your due date. But I wanted to do it, and it was such a great experience to be there with all of you and to be fighting for life and to be doing that with this child in my womb. And it's always such a special experience to be pregnant and to be talking about these vulnerable children in the womb while you're carrying a child in the womb. It's really just such a profound, beautiful experience. And it's, being at a rally, a march like that, it's really just electric, right? And it reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing, because it can feel very lonely. And particularly, I think, in places like Canada, where you feel like, am I alone? Am I the only pro-lifer here, right? But it reminds you that you're not alone. There are tens of thousands of people surrounding you there at that March for Life, right? And you think, oh my gosh, this is the shot in the arm that I needed. I'm not alone. There are many others like me that are there surrounding me, and others at home that are watching. And you think, we're doing this together. We are fighting for the right thing. But the truth is that even if you are standing alone, you are doing the right things still. And really, we're never alone because we have the true victor. We have Jesus Christ on our side.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I do remember you, Abby, being there, like ready to pop, and I just thought to myself, this woman is crazy for doing this. But you were such a trooper. You were such a trooper. I remember escorting you to like from one event to another event. I think you did maybe 3 or 4 events throughout that week. And I just thought, man, this is, you're right. What a powerful witness. Obviously, the words you were saying, the things you were speaking, and your testimony was very powerful and life-changing for people to hear. But then just your physical presence, like your body was a witness to the world about the sacredness of life. And I think that's just absolutely beautiful. And we can't wait to have you back in Ottawa again. Abby, we just launched our theme for this year, which is I Will Never Forget You. It's based in sacred scripture. It's something that we often turn to scripture when it comes to coming up with themes for the March for Life. We just launched the promotional video. What do you think of when you hear the words, I will never forget you? How does this theme speak to you personally?
So, I am just hearing this theme too. So I didn't get the theme ahead of time or anything like that. So I'm just hearing this theme too. And I have to say, it so deeply resonates with me. I was 8 years old when I came to know the Lord. And I remember that day. I remember, sitting in church and stepping out of the pew. My parents didn't even know I was doing that. But I remember having that encounter with the Lord. And I remember stepping out of the pew and going up to the front and talking to the pastor. And it was a beautiful moment. I remember that encounter with God very clearly. And I grew up serving the Lord and knowing him. And, then I got into college and I walked away from my faith for a period of years. But when you are a child of God, you are not forgotten by him. And a lot of times, people think about the Lord, and I think they think about him as kind of this this mild-mannered kind of lamb, right? And that is true of God. But when I think of the Lord, I think of him as this mighty, fierce lion who came roaring back into my life after I'd walked away from him for so long, because he had not forgotten me. Even though I had tried to step away, even though I had tried to walk away, even though I had denied him, even though I was working in an abortion facility for 8 years, he had not left me. He had not forgotten me. And that moment that I allowed my heart to soften, he came fighting for me. He came right back. And that's how he's always been in my life. He fights for me. And even though I was fighting with him, he was fighting for me. And so that is the goodness of God. And I think many times, there are women that we are fighting for in this movement, and the children in their womb we are fighting for, and God has not forgotten them. And sometimes, women in crisis pregnancies, they probably feel many times overwhelmed and they feel forgotten, but God has not forgotten them. He has not left them. In fact, he loves them so much that he has given them this beautiful gift of a child. And that just shows how much he loves them. And so that's a reminder that he has not forgotten them. And so I think it's just such a beautiful theme. I think, and even, even the elderly, I think about, my grandparents. All of my grandparents have passed now. But I think as they were, I think about them as they were aging. And there had to be times when they felt alone, when they saw people around them, their friends, dying and passing away, and even, my grandmothers as their spouses passed. And that I don't know that sort of sorrow. And there had to be times where they felt alone, but they were not forgotten. God had not forgotten them, and he was with them until the end of their lives. And what an honor it is for us as their children and their grandchildren to care for them in their final years. And so it's a reminder to us as well, as their family, that we do not forget them, that we are there for them as well, as the Lord is there for them. And so I think it's just the perfect theme. I want to contact the March organizers here in the US. I want that to be our theme for the March in the US next year, because I think it's just, it is perfection. It is how the Lord wants us to remember each other, that we're not forgotten, and he has not forgotten us.
Your words also make me think of the parliamentarians and even the counter-protesters. And I hope that the Lord is pursuing them as intently as he pursued you. And I think it's a reminder to all of us that while we're very much a movement about saving lives, we're also very much a movement about saving souls as well. And speaking of, at the Rose Dinner, you're going to be speaking alongside Sean Carney of 40 Days for Life. So those who maybe have forgotten that part of your story, can you briefly explain the significance of your relationship with Sean and his wife?
Yeah, so Sean and I kind of had parallel lives, I guess, just on the opposite sides of the fence of life, right? So Sean and I both started volunteering at our, respective organizations at kind of the same time. So he started volunteering at the Coalition for Life at pretty much the same time I started volunteering at Planned Parenthood. And he started volunteering because his girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife, Mary Lisa, very much encouraged him that, if he wanted to date her, his Saturday morning activity needed to be to go pray on the sidewalk. And so he wanted to date her. So he knew he needed to do that. And like many of us, when you start going to the sidewalk and you start seeing these women going into the facilities and you see them come out, you see that they are changed. Their faces are changed. Their body language has changed. You see that their soul has changed. Something inside of them, their spirit is different. And that desire to keep them whole, to keep their spirit and their soul intact, and to not have it be ripped apart in the abortion industry, that desire really compels you to continue to go over and over again. And that's what happened to Sean. And so he continued to go, not just for Mary Lisa, but also he was compelled by God to go. And so as I started rising up through the ranks at Planned Parenthood, he started rising up through the ranks at the Coalition for Life. And so we knew each other, and we had some, I would say, feisty conversations on the sidewalk. I think a lot of people think that, through that fence, and there was physically a big iron fence that was between us. I think a lot of times people think it was all just kind of rainbows and giggles through that fence, but that's not true. I mean, Sean and I kind of, we both have strong personalities, and we did kind of spar occasionally through that fence, but that was truly what I think I needed. I think we both needed that to sharpen each other. And I needed that sort of confrontation to really help me think about what is it that I'm doing here, and to really confront some of the faulty ideas that I had in my mind. And Sean was able to do that for me. And so when I left Planned Parenthood, it was their office. It was the Coalition for Life. It was their office that I went to for help. And because Sean and I and others on the sidewalk, we had had this relationship for years, for many years. It was a very easy friendship to develop. And Sean and I have been friends now for over 20 years. We've known each other for over 20 years. And I'm a little bit older than him, and he will remind everyone of that when we're on stage together. And so we have just a very fun, special relationship. When my husband and I entered the Catholic Church together in 2012, Sean was actually my husband's sponsor into the church. And Heather Gardner, who was another sidewalk counselor on the sidewalk, she was my sponsor into the church. So those relationships that I developed with people on the sidewalk continue to live on in my life now. Heather is the godmother to two of our children, and still, one of our dearest friends, and Sean as well. So those relationships do matter. And, sometimes I think we feel like, does the work that we do, does it matter? Is this even making a difference? And I can say unequivocally, yes, it does matter. I've seen it matter in my life and the lives of many others who have worked in the abortion industry and are now free.
And it's also making a difference in Canada. We received terrific news last week that a private abortion facility in New Brunswick was finally shutting its doors. And that was in part due to political efforts. Their premier, Blaine Higgs, he stood strong against a lot of pressures from the abortion lobby, from the federal government to fund abortions at private facilities. He refused to do that. And so because of funding, the clinic finally shut its doors. But also in the fall, there was a 40 Days for Life campaign that was actually led by a former Campaign Life Coalition intern. And now we see the clinic, after so many years, is finally closing. And so prayer really does work. And I'm really excited to hear that conversation between you and Sean. So thank you very much for joining us for this theme announcement, Abby, and I can't wait to see you in May in Ottawa.
I am so excited. It is going to be an awesome time. And also I'm really excited about the protesters that are going to show up, because it gives us a time to pray, and a time to pray for those who oppose us. And I think about all the times that I showed up as a protester to events like this one. And we have to believe that while they are there, they are hearing truth. And that is such a beautiful thing. And so it gives us an opportunity to pray directly for them. And so we welcome them to come. And I just hope that anyone who is hearing this and even thinking about coming, please do make the sacrifice and come. It really does make a difference. And it will give you the encouragement that you need to keep going.
Well, there you have it, folks. Abby Johnson wants you to come to the National March for Life, so you can't say no now. Abby, thank you so much for joining us today, like Josie mentioned, and we can't wait to see you in our nation's capital in just a few months. Take care and God bless.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of fun, eh, Josie?
It was so much fun. And I want to stress what an absolute honor it is that Abby's going to be coming back to Canada. And not only is she going to be speaking at the Rose Dinner with Sean, but she's also going to be at the premiere of Unthinkable on Wednesday late afternoon. She's going to be at the rally on the Thursday, and she's going to be at the Youth Summit the following day on the Friday. So if you normally just make the March for Life a one-day trip, maybe this is the year you make it a multi-day trip. So you can hit up all of the events that surround the National March for Life. Maybe invest in a couple of extra nights in a hotel just to take full advantage, make this an investment in being able to hear from Abby at all of these different occasions. So something to consider. If you can only attend the rally, that's okay too.
That's right. And yeah, I can't stress enough how important it is to start planning today, start planning now, so that you don't miss out on this beautiful opportunity. So today we've announced the theme. We've announced our keynote speakers for the Rose Dinner and the rally, but we still have quite a lot to unpack when it comes to all the various events that are taking place during the National March for Life Week. So before we bring on the rest of our committee to chat and to discuss all that is taking place, here is just a short little promotional video featuring a week at a glance, all the events that are taking part during that March for Life week in May. Man, that's a lot to unpack. So to help us talk about all the details, all the information, let's introduce the rest of our March for Life committee. So the one and only, obviously you've known her for many years because you've seen hundreds of emails coming from her. Debbie Duval, our national capital organizer, is with us today. We got our two youth coordinators, Maeve Roche and Kim Headley as well. And we got the one and only director and producer, special guest Kevin Dunn from Dunn Media and EWTN. Hey, Kevin.
Great to be with you again. Thanks for inviting me.
So let's start off with Debbie. Debbie, can you kind of take us through the week of events? Because the March for Life is not just a one-day event. There's events happening all around it. So what are we doing on the Tuesday?
Tuesday this year, we're going back to the Songs for Life again. It was such a great time last year with all the local talent and the beautiful music and just the community getting together. So that's happening again this year. And then the following day, Wednesday, is packed with great things. We're having something very interesting. We're having the screening of Unthinkable on Wednesday afternoon. And Abby will be there, and so will Drew, and we'll have a good question and answer afterwards. So that will be it's exciting. Also in the evening, we're back to the candlelight vigil, which is beautiful, a very beautiful prayer vigil where we're just calm and quiet. You've got the candles, and we're praying for all the moms, victims of abortion, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful evening. Prior to the vigil, though, we have the Mass, the Vigil Mass too, and it's another lovely thing.
And then on the Thursday, which is the big day, May 9th this year, of course, we have the rally and the march, but we're also doing something new this year. Debbie, do you want to talk about that?
So we're having the Pro-Life Expo this year. So all of our vendors and display tables and pro-life people are going to be in a hall where you can visit anytime from noon on March Day, which is the 9th, right through until after the Youth Summit on Friday afternoon. So you get to visit some of your people. Hopefully there'll be a lot of folks that you know and a lot of folks that you can go and visit and learn about. Very exciting this year.
So tell us about the rally. I'm sure many of our viewers have been there before, but for those who've never been, what is it? What's it like? Where do they go?
The rally is just the best. Before the rally, we have all our masses and our prayer services in the morning, around 10-ish usually. And, all of that is on the website. You can see all the different times and places. And then you get up to the hill for 12:30. And that's when it all begins. And we have some really incredible speakers again this year, which we'll unveil as we go along. And that will be great. And then we start the march. The march is at about 1:30 usually, and we march around the city. We have to show people that life is sacred, from the very, very beginning of conception to natural death. So that's what we'll be doing at the rally, which is always the rally and march, which is a great day.
And it doesn't end there either. What do we do in the evening?
Well, this year we're doing something very exciting. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but this year we're combining the youth banquet and the rose dinner together. Why is that? Well, because we have that awesome speaker, Abby and Sean, and we just thought everybody would want to see it. So 5:30 is the reception, and after that, dinner will be served, and for a very lovely rose dinner. It's going to be really great this year.
And we have a special announcement about the rose dinner, actually. Do you want to do the honors, Debbie?
Yes, and guess what? The early bird tickets go on sale today. So please get on our site, order your tickets up, choose your meals, and we'll be so excited to see you there. Can't wait.
And then the following day is the youth summit. But I will let Maeve and Kim take it from here.
Thank you so much, Josie. But before we delve into the logistics and the details of the Youth Summit for this year, we're going to be showing our 2024 Live On Pro-Life Youth Summit promo video. So enjoy.
When a tragedy occurs, we promise to never forget the victims. We tell their stories so their legacy can live on. We do everything in our power to say no to evil in the future. Yet each day in Canada, 300 victims suffer the evil of abortion and never get a chance to live. It's time we saw the light. On May 10th, hundreds of students from across Canada will come to Ottawa for the 2024 National March for Life Live On Pro-Life Summit and hear from people like Abby Johnson, a former Planned Parenthood clinic director who saw the light and now helps women out of the abortion industry. Dr. John Burkalski, a former abortionist who now says no to the evil of abortion. And Mary Wagner, whose heroic activism has saved hundreds of lives by counseling women in crisis pregnancy. Let's say no to the evil of abortion so that future generations may live on.
So our theme this year for the Pro-Life Summit is Live On. The theme stems from John 15:4, which reads, "Live in me and I will live in you." To have Christ live in us means to be called to new life in him, following his commandments and living in accordance with his plan for our lives. As pro-life activists, we must rely not only on our merit to cultivate a culture of life, but also to follow Christ, to live on in us through not only our devotion and faith to him, but also through our good works, hence our pro-life activities. As you just saw in the promo, the Youth Summit will be held on Friday, May 10th, 2024, the day after the National March for Life on Parliament Hill. The summit begins with an optional Mass for youth at 7 a.m., with registration and breakfast to follow from 8 a.m. to 9. The summit itself begins at 9:15 a.m. with an opening welcome and call to order from us, followed by a kickoff session by Abby Johnson. Our morning keynote speaker is Dr. John Wojciechowski, a former abortionist turned pro-life medical center founder. Following the morning session, youth will be able to attend 2 different breakout sessions with the opportunity to hear from 4 captivating speakers with expertise in a variety of different fields. The youth attendees will be served lunch with an opportunity to connect with other pro-life young people from across the country and will have an opportunity to attend our expo of booths to have conversations with Canadian pro-life organizations and score some pro-life merch.
Our afternoon session keynote speaker is the incredible Mary Wagner, who is a Canadian former prisoner of conscience who was imprisoned for close to a decade for peacefully entering abortuaries to calmly try to persuade mothers to choose life for their babies. So as you can hear, we have an excellent lineup of incredible speakers this year. We're so excited to welcome hundreds of Canadian youth who are going to gather in fellowship to hear from a variety of exciting speakers in a variety of different fields of expertise. So this year, we're really just trying to rebuild post-COVID, trying to get more schools and buses to come out. So to buy tickets, you can visit marchforlife.ca/youth summit/ and tickets are $75 per person, all inclusive. For teachers, chaplains, youth ministers, and parents looking to organize bus trips for youth in their area, we have a trip planning guide also available on our website. And for all assistance with trip planning or guidance for bookings, you can email us at maeve@campaignlifecoalition.com or .ca, sorry. For groups of 20 or more registering prior to April 1st, we have a 10% discount that will be applied to all orders. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you, Maeve and Kim. I can't stress enough how important it is to attend this youth summit. If you're a teacher, a principal, a school chaplain, a youth group leader, a pastor, a parent, a grandparent, anyone, please, please, please help us get as many young people to this youth summit, which really is one of those things that just changes hearts. It transforms young people, and it sets them on a path for just future pro-life work and activism. It's an extremely eye-opening experience. So again, Maeve, Kim, thank you so much for that update and for organizing the whole youth summit, because really not only were you guys at one point participants, but now you guys are running the whole show, which is absolutely amazing. All right, as we're about to wrap things up today, I do still want to bring on one other guest, Kevin Dunn from Dunn Media. Kevin, we've been doing Life on Film, the Life on Film series all year long, where we feature pro-life movies, documentaries, films, some short films with interviews with the various directors and producers and actors. Can you tell us a bit about this past year and some upcoming features that we will be presenting on our YouTube channel?
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, Life on Film has been a great series so far. Check out February's. It's still up there, actually. Just aired. Terry Schiavo's story. Josie, you did the interview for that, and they're allowing us to keep it up for a little while on our YouTube channel. How did that go with Bobby Schindler?
It was a very hard-hitting interview. I think that Terry Schiavo was kind of the canary in the coal mines. And her story was kind of a warning to us all of what was to come. And I think in Canada, especially, you're seeing so many patients that are neglected and abandoned and killed. And so that interview that I did with Bobby Schindler, the brother of Terry Schiavo, I think it's really important. And I think anyone who's concerned about euthanasia and assisted suicide in Canada should really make sure to watch that and kind of see, it's not really where it all began, but I think there was so much media attention on that case that it really, I think, kind of characterizes how this debate is going.
Yeah, and I got to say, it's really important that these issues that we're seeing this, even though it's a U.S. story, it helps the narrative here in Canada and the resistance to the expansion of what they call the medical aid in dying, which should just be called what it is, euthanasia, here in Canada. So, hopefully these films are helping the public discourse. I believe they are, and that's because of you who are watching at home right now. So continue to be informed with these films. We have another one in conversation with the producers of No Greater Love, Mother Teresa film that we did a few months ago, David Nalieri and Father Koledachuk, the postulator for the cause of St. Mother Teresa. And of course, you know that she was so outspoken on this issue. That conversation is still online. And speaking of Mother Teresa, we have a film coming up on March 3rd called Mother Teresa and Me. It's actually a drama, a feature-length film, a drama. Two women's lives, passionate and uncompromising, woven together by generations by two intertwined stories. One of those people is Mother Teresa, and another is a current-day young woman. And I won't tell you anything more, but we will watch the trailer. So here you go. This is Mother Teresa and Me coming up Sunday, March 3rd, 8 p.m. on the March for Life YouTube channel. Let's roll it.
You're pregnant, young lady.
What should I do?
Rest for a bit. You still have time to think about it.
You'll have to have an abortion.
I know.
You can't keep it.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Kavita, oh my God.
Diwali. You knew her quite well, didn't you?
Mother? Yes.
Diwali. Most people, when in total doubt, just give up on their dreams. But she didn't.
I need to take dying people off the streets. You have to give me a place for them. Now.
Some Hindus might not accept you. They might suspect you want to convert them.
If you want to destroy this place, take me and kill me instead.
Darkness. That's all I can see.
What do I need to know, for Christ's sake?
We just wanted to protect you.
I was so wrong with so many things.
I'm lost, Father. Why does Jesus not love me anymore?
Are you here to save humanity or just yourself?
Faith might be obscured by the clouds of doubt.
I don't know how long I will have the strength to live without faith, without love.
So that was Mother Teresa and Me, a feature-length film coming up, and that will be on Sunday, March 3rd. And then, what is it? What is it? It's actually a very serious film, short film from Living Waters. And Maeve and Kim will be interviewing Mark Spence from Living Waters. They do a lot of, if you remember the movie 180, which we premiered also this year, this is their kind of follow-up film called What Is It? And you do not want to miss that. So that's coming up. That's coming up on in April. So what else do we want to talk about here? Oh yes, Matt. Do we have time to talk about Roe Canada?
Well, I was just about to bring that up because we're talking about all these wonderful films that we've been featuring on Life on Film over the past, several years now. But there is another movie that I think you and Josie know a little bit about that just came out in Canada online and is available for people to rent. Roe Canada. So how's that going? It's been out for a few weeks now, Kevin and Josie, and I believe you are going to give us a new trailer that hasn't been seen before today, right now.
Sure, let's roll the trailer and then we'll talk about it.
I feel like there's a dark cloud hanging over the country.
What do you think about abortion?
I think abortion is a default position for our society.
It's just a clump of cells.
Most people who advocate abortion, they do it because they're swept away by the spirit of the age. They care what people think about them.
My body! My body! My choice! My choice!
It's not healthcare, it's death. It's intentional, needless, elective death.
Stand up and defend reproductive rights at every single opportunity.
Not my Canada. This is not who we are.
I respect life, just like anybody else does, but I also, as a physician, respect a woman's right to choose the outcome of a pregnancy.
They say it takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes a village to kill a child, too.
If Canada as a society or a country wants to protect the preborn child, I think it needs to start with defining when that child becomes a human being.
We've pitted women against their children for so long. And how do we repair that damage?
I actually think your task is impossible.
The only reason that we won this particular fight was because we didn't give up.
Well, this is a battle between good and evil.
No! You pro-life position! No way!
When you don't speak the truth, you lose your sense of self. You lose who you are.
There will be no peace until we protect the child in the womb.
So that's a trailer many of you haven't seen before for the film. Do check it out online, rocanadafilm.com. Once you go into the portal, you'll see a whole bunch of clips, outtakes from the film, what we call bonus scenes, and there's about 50 of them there, and it's incredible. So for $20, you get access to the film and about 50 different outtakes from the film that are really powerful stories. Josie, what kind of response have you had as the principal investigator for the film?
So I've had the privilege of interviewing some amazing pro-life leaders. Some of the faces you'll recognize in the film are Seth Dillon from the Babylon Bee, Abby Johnson, Students for Life of America's Kristen Hawkins, and Canadians like Campaign Life Coalition President Emeritus Jim Hughes, Jonathan Van Maren and Stephanie Gray Connors, who are very powerful pro-life speakers and authors, MPs Kathy Wagenthal and Arnold Viersen. So that was all amazing to kind of be on the ground talking to these leaders. But it has also been amazing speaking to the grassroots pro-lifers who watch the film and I hope see themselves reflected in the movement. Because you, Kevin, you call it a love letter to the pro-life movement, and I think that's really accurate. And so there's been a lot of people who have looked at this film and walked away from it believing that we are going to see change in Canada. And they're hopeful, and maybe they were a little bit discouraged before, and this renews their courage. And then there's also been people who've watched the film who haven't been really involved that much in the movement. And we're hoping that by watching Roe Canada, they will be incentivized to find out where is their place in the movement. Is it in the educational arm? Is it in the pastoral arm, working with crisis pregnancy centers? Or is it in the political arm? So I think the reaction has been fantastic. We're also pursuing avenues like getting Roe Canada into schools, and we've created an educational companion for that. We've created a French dubbed version. So whatever people are looking for, we're looking to get this to as many audiences as possible.
Well, it's just been great working with you two, Josie, and Ruth, who's not with us right now. She's probably working very hard in St. John's, Newfoundland, who are both the principal investigators for the film. But anyway, thanks so much for allowing us to chat a little bit more about that, Matt, today, because we have a special Life on Film the Sunday before the march, which is, what date is that? May 5th at 8 p.m., when we're going to show you some never before seen scenes from the film, some really provocative and powerful messages. We interviewed so many people, and you can only fit so much in a short film like that. Even though it was 80 minutes long, we had hours upon hours of incredible interviews, and so we're going to share some of that. Josie's going to join me for this special Life on Film, Roe Canada in Conversation, Sunday, May 5th. That's the Sunday right before the March for Life, and we're going to show you some never before seen footage and talk about some of the most powerful pieces from the film, and how we're going to basically help restart this conversation that these good folks at the March for Life try to do every single day in the work that they do. This is just another film to assist in that effort, as many other people are doing across Canada. So we hope you join us on May 5th. That kind of wraps up our Life on Film series for 2024, and there'll be more to come, hopefully, after the March for Life as we pursue that. So there you go. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thanks, Kevin. And I can't stress enough, the movie is available out now, so please go and rent it, watch it. And honestly, Kevin, Josie, this is a perfect video to watch with your church, with your youth group right now. Because then when you do that, it will motivate people to say, hey, I want to do something. And guess what? The March for Life is coming up in just a few weeks, in just a few months. I want to go to the march. I want to be there on the ground with everyone. So I think it's a great movie to show within your community, as a way to encourage people to come out to the National March for Life this upcoming May.
And I think that's a good reminder that we have fewer than 100 days to go to the National March for Life. So the time to start organizing and planning your trip is now. Please reach out to us if you want any information about organizing a bus. So this is a great opportunity for you to take your church community with you to Ottawa, whether it's a youth group or a school or whatever, and go to marchforlife.ca. It has all of the information you need. In addition to organizing buses, perhaps you're in a position where you might be interested in sponsoring the march. We've revamped our sponsorship package this year, so we're offering you a lot bigger bang for your buck. So look at what we're offering on our website for sponsors. Also, maybe you want to be part of our Pro-Life Expo. Maybe you have an exhibitor table. You're part of a Christian school or organization or pro-life group, or perhaps you have a business and you'd like to be there. We welcome you to our Pro-Life Expo. Please check out our website for details about that. Maybe you go to the Rose Dinner every year and you would like to maybe offer a little bit more and get recognition for that. And we have a special Friends of Life sponsorship as well. So lots available. And the sooner you contact us about it, the sooner we can put your logo on our website or put our logo at the end of video presentations like this one. So now is the time to look into these opportunities that we're offering. We have so many opportunities. Isn't that right, Matt?
It sure is, Josie. And if you missed any of this, you can always rewatch this theme launch on our YouTube channel. But don't worry, because Debbie, you're probably going to be sending like 100 emails in the next 3 weeks or 3 months rather, right?
Absolutely. I'm sure you'll be hearing from me quite a lot.
So if you have any questions, go to march5.ca, reach out to Debbie, contact her, email the Ottawa office. We'll have all that information up. So on behalf of the National March for Life Organizing Committee, Josie, Debbie, Kim, Maeve, and Kevin, and myself, thank you for joining us today for this theme launch. Don't forget to go to online, purchase tickets for your Rose Dinner, purchase tickets for the Youth Summit, plan your bus trips right now, book your hotels, and we just cannot wait to march for life with all of you in our nation's capital on May the 9th, 2024. Thanks for tuning in today, and God bless.
Abortion and euthanasia are pervasive in Canada. In this age of abandonment, it's time to be reminded of the words of God given through the prophet Isaiah almost 3,000 years ago. I will never forget you.
I will never forget you. You are mine. I will never forget you. You're my child.
His promise, I will never forget you, is not only a reminder of God's enduring faithfulness to his people, but also an eternal call for all of us to be witnesses to the dignity of each human person.
I will never forget. I will never forget you.
On May 9th, join thousands of students, families, and Canadians from all walks of life as we gather on Parliament Hill in Ottawa for the 2024 National March for Life. Together, let's remind our elected officials to never forget the child in the womb or any vulnerable member of society. I will never forget you reminds us of our responsibilities towards each other and the irreplaceability of each individual soul, created intentionally by God in his image and likeness.